I'm always apologizing to Cody around here after one of these Tuesdays because he doesn't actually get to some of his thoughts.
So we got the private show. We actually heard the 2 minutes, and you think it was good enough that the audience deserves to hear it, and Greg deserves to tell it to the audience.
It was good, and he is someone who crafted. It's the only effort that he put in today's show, and we just spent the entire time laughing at him, because we caught him on the hard net workout, instead of entertaining his thoughts that were thoughtful as a lifetime journalist who's covered sports for a long time, and, learned a lot about Michael Jordan as he grew up as a journalist. So, Greg, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. And I'm sorry I've yammered so much.
Well, truth be known, I was pretty cynical about...
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.
The sky is blue, the birds are chirping, and your grass is green and starting to grow once more. That means it's time to end your lawn gear's winter hibernation. But before you get to work, make sure you can get to work. Advance Auto Parts will test your lawn and garden battery for free. And if it needs to be replaced, grab an Autocraft lawn and garden battery starting at $22.99. Think ahead. Think Advance at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
Welcome back to Sports View. Today's topic, who's the greatest of all time? For my money, it's Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle. It literally saves you money. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Look, it's simple.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Add up all the heroes, take away the zeros, and what you got? One big trophy and me saying, I told you so.
I disagree.
Thanks, fellas. Took the words right out of my mouth.
There's really no debate. Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle is a winning combination. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Here at ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP. Hall of Famer Michael Jordan will receive no money from ESPN's 10-part documentary series, The Last Dance. Forbes' Kurt Badenhausen reported Jordan plans to donate the proceeds he'll receive, estimated to be around $3 or $4 million, to charity. Numerous sports fans were eagerly anticipating the documentary when it was first announced in May 2018. That anticipation reached a high point as COVID-19 has brought a halt to live sports, and ESPN moved up the series from its original June air date. The first 2 episodes, which aired Sunday, drew an average of 6.1 million viewers. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowls, but while attempting to comply with stay-at-home orders, he's just trying to find a place to work out. Tampa Mayor Jane Castor said in a joint news briefing with the St. Petersburg Mayor Rich Kreisman on Monday that a city employee spotted a man working out in a park in downtown Tampa. Our parks are closed down, so a lot of our park staff, they patrol around just to make sure people aren't in there with contact sports and things. She went over to tell him that it was closed, and it was Tom Brady. The city of Tampa tweeted, "Sorry, Tom Brady. Our Tampa Parks and Rec team can't wait to welcome you and our entire community back with even bigger smiles. Until then, stay safe and stay home as much as you can to help flatten the curve." DeAndre Hopkins told Sports Illustrated that he had no relationship with Coach Bill O'Brien during their 6 years together with the Houston Texans and defended himself against anonymous criticisms that surfaced after he was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Hopkins said that he wasn't surprised by the trade and reiterated that stance in a telephone interview with Sports Illustrated and recounted the matter-of-fact phone call he received from O'Brien to tell him he had been traded. Hopkins told the magazine that he knew how to get out of the situation in Houston. Hopkins said that by asking for a little raise, the team would likely instead shop him, which is the outcome that I wanted, Hopkins told SI. And for your ESPN Pensacola Sports Headlines, I'm JP. Nick Saban has a message for us regarding the coronavirus.
First of all, I hope this message finds you and your families safe and well. On behalf of our program, we want to give thanks to all the medical professionals and caregivers in our state and across the country in these challenging times. Our daily routines have changed dramatically over these past weeks. As we have said to our team, we share the same message to all of you. Please understand the following guidelines of social distancing. We ask that everyone please wash your hands often. Stay at home if at all possible. And when you have to be out in public, make sure you keep 6 feet between you and the nearest person. We are in this together, and as one team, we will get through these difficult times. And together, we look forward to all that's to come, like the opportunity to play college football this fall. But the best and safest way to ensure that happens is to listen to the experts, follow their guidelines, and take care of each other. Stay safe and roll tide.
So I'm having this debate with a landlord.
I said, no pets. Can't rent you the apartment.
My dog is not a pet. Look, I'm legally blind. I need my guide dog.
Sorry, those are the rules.
Rules that allow for housing discrimination? So I made a call to HUD. Turns out, landlords must make reasonable accommodations for assistance animals.
If you think you've been discriminated against, call HUD at 1-800-669-9777 or go to hud.gov/fair housing.
Fair housing is your right. Use it.
A public service message from HUD in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Hi, I'm Matt Kenseth. You don't have to be a race car driver to know that life can be full of drama. Some of it you can't control, like mechanical issues, high winds, and rain delays. But there's some drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
You just need to take that first step and find free classes near you and leave the drama for the racetrack.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
First Take, your take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. Let's start you today the same way we do every day with headlines you need to know. And just like every other day, it starts with a new uniform in the NFL. All these teams changing everything up. Well, add to the list the Los Angeles Chargers, who have gone to social media to show us pictures of their new uniform updates. Let's face it, the powder blues were already gorgeous. They've changed them, though. Added the number to the helmet. I'm a little torn on this one. I'll be honest. Not my favorite of all the uniform changes so far, but they do join the Falcons, Browns, Patriots, and Bucks in releasing new uniform updates this season. They do that ahead of the NFL draft, and now I can tell you that Vegas has chimed in. Entering April, Sportsbook had Tua Tagovailoa as the big favorite to be the second quarterback taken in the NFL draft. 3 weeks later, the odds no longer in his favor. Oregon's Justin Herbert has overtaken Tua and is now a tiny favorite at most sportsbooks to be the second quarterback selected after LSU's Joe Burrow. So we'll keep all eyes on that. And lastly, speaking of all eyes were on The Last Dance. We knew they would be, okay? But if anyone is wondering what people are watching and how thirsty we are for sports, we got some record numbers coming in on a couple of big events. The Last Dance, well talked about. Obviously, it's a 10-part documentary series about the Chicago Bulls' quest during 97-98 to win a sixth NBA title. Well, it averaged 6.1 million viewers for episodes 1 and 2.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. We hope everybody's staying safe out there, practicing social distancing, washing their hands. You know what to do by now. As we always start off our show, we want to thank our first responders and our healthcare workers, as well as our grocery store employees, truck drivers, all those essential workers out there. I say this every day. You guys know who you are. We all, as listeners, know who you are. We appreciate you guys. Look, what you're doing is phenomenal, putting yourself out there on the front line. Coach, I know you feel the same way. It goes without saying there's so many people to thank in all this, and also our community. Our community's done a great job to get us, we're going to get through this. We're getting through this. Signs are saying we're getting there. We're getting to where we need to be. We're not there yet. But nonetheless, Coach, we thank all those that have been on the front lines.
You bet, and I think it's good that we do, and hopefully other people do, voice their appreciation to those people who have put so much on the line for all of us, and thank God for them and thank them for what they've done.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. And, of course, we want to thank our sponsors as well. We couldn't do this without them. And they're so prominent in the community for what they do as well. Just awesome people all the way around. We appreciate those people. And, you know what, we can bring some football to you because of those folks right there. Nonetheless, look, your questions are always welcome. 850-623-1330. That's the studio line. give us a call. Let us know what's on your mind. As today, we're going to talk about, well, South Carolina a little bit. That's an interesting team. And as we continue breaking down through the SEC and ACC each day here. Coach, I think more important, though, the draft coming up. Of course, just to throw this out there, ESPN Pensacola will hold the draft all 3 days out there. So you can get your coverage if you're on the road or at home in the garage, whatever. You want to turn on the radio, we've got you right here on 1330 AM 991 FM. I think it's pretty special. But, Coach, the draft coming up, it looks to be a pretty good one.
We've said all along that it's going to be an outstanding draft, a lot of talent. And really when you break the talent down, JP, it's not only the quarterback position, which everybody's aware of, most of the fans, but you also have some big play people in this draft, people that can break your back, break the big one, if you will. And the receiver position, along with a lot of speed there, I think they got some excellent backs in there. And then, of course, we most are aware that there may be 7 offensive tackles going in the top, certainly the top 35 or 40. That's huge. There are some good defensive players as well, and a once in a lifetime, supposedly, a pass rusher. Even though I do have a little news on that, I think it might be interesting what the Redskins are doing. But it is a deep draft with an awful lot of football players in there that a lot of people would like to get their hands on. That's why right now you see a lot of maneuvering, and you see what San Francisco is trying to do. They got 2 number 1 picks. You'd say, well, gosh, they're in great shape. Well, they're trying to get back in there with some of those other value picks in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round where they're not represented, but they'll trade some of that first round opportunity for some in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. So just got an awful lot going on. There's going to be a number of trades. There are going to be some interesting things for sure in those first few picks. But anyway, we're looking forward to it, and we're getting near. We only got a few hours now before the draft.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. And, talking about that was one of our stories, of course, the 49ers talking with John Lynch, him saying that, look, we got 2 first-round picks, and we're willing to trade back. Now, we hear him talk about that's the value picks. When you look at the 2nd or 3rd through maybe the 5th round right there, those are the value guys that, when you talk about breaking it down, the scouting and everything, when you're drafting there, that's where teams make their money. That's where these scouts make their money. Everybody pretty much has an idea of these first-round guys, and that's what everybody's saying. You pretty much know who you want. You know who's the best. It's those in-between rounds that really can make or break your team. And, Coach, when you look at that, and some guys, of course, you've been in those draft rooms before in the front office, Coach, do you find that to be true as well?
Well, I do, but it depends. I will tell you this. And before I would give, if I had 2 number 1 picks, and then I'm looking for, obviously, you'd like to have some other picks. That's why you got to be careful about what you trade away. And the next year finally comes, and there you're sitting there with I don't think they have a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick. I think they got 2 first, and then they go all the way to the fifth round before they have another pick. So yeah, there are going to be some great football players. We've already talked about the depth in this year's draft and the talent in this year's draft. So there are going to be some outstanding football players in 2, 3, and 4. But you got to be careful. You got 2 number 1 picks. You may have to just make sure that you make those 2 count and get 2 very good ones there that you feel extremely good about. And don't worry about trying to parlay. Sometimes you parlay draft picks into lower round draft picks, and people are gone, or they slid down before you had a chance to pick, and it's just it's dicey. So all I'm saying is be very, very careful. But I can understand what they're talking about, but you got to be careful about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to get too cute and then you find out that you don't get your worth out of what trading away, especially in the first round, in a draft that is deep as this draft is. That's the difference in all this. But, Coach, I want to move on to something now. We've talked about Bill O'Brien before. This DeAndre Hopkins trade is now official after the physicals have passed. So, we were waiting, of course, with COVID-19 going on. It's not as easy to get deals done. But nonetheless, the deals are done here. Now, DeAndre Hopkins was talking with an SI reporter through all this, and he, they were talking about what their relationship was like. And DeAndre Hopkins said, well, there was no relationship at all, which I find hard to believe. But then again, you know what, Coach? You've been in an NFL locker room. I haven't. Maybe there are guys like that. But nonetheless, when you look at this, Hopkins goes on to say, look, I wanted out of Houston. I knew that, you know what, I could restructure my contract here. I could ask for a little raise, and they would probably shop. They would either get my money, and I would be happy, or they would shop me, which I win either way here. Now, Coach, when you hear that from DeAndre Hopkins, a couple questions come to mind. Do we still place blame for Bill O'Brien on getting rid of him? I think I still place a little blame because of what they got back, but nonetheless, this makes me change my opinion a little bit on DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but I am saying he kind of manipulated this whole situation here. What do you make of the whole situation with this between Bill O'Brien and DeAndre Hopkins and the Houston Texans right now?
Well, number one, I don't think you can let a player just talk his way out of a contract. That's disastrous. If he lets him do it, there will be 2 or 3 others that'll try to do the same thing, and it'll cause a tremendous problem in your locker room and everywhere. You can't let them do it. Yeah, and the other thing I would say is you probably have to put a little blame on both of them to the extent that on O'Brien's part, you would think that he would try to have a relationship that would give him the opportunity to coach, teach, and be somewhat of a mentor and respected by DeAndre Hopkins. Now, what he did, how they got on the wrong foot, I don't know. But there are obviously some personality differences there that should never have been. I'm not saying the coach should bow down to a player's lack of respect or anything like that. Not saying that at all. But there are ways that you handle situations and it's just done differently. And you look around the league. I mean, would I have to go into detail about Belichick or Lombardi or any of the others? I mean, there's a way to handle things. That obviously it was not the protocol there. And then you have to go back and think, O'Brien has had his ups and downs with a number of players. And I think this is something that he really needs to take stock of himself. I can remember some violent arguments that he got into on the sideline with Tom Brady. I'm not sure what it was all about, but that was not a pretty scene.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a interesting situation what's going on right now, Coach. Another situation that I want to mention too. You talk about that with guys saying they want to get out and then teams just kind of letting them go here. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Now we talked a little bit about them yesterday with Leonard Fournette, of course, saying, well, we need to get Cam Newton and things like that. Now it seems that Leonard Fournette is on the trading block, which I don't think is necessarily, depending on what you can get for him, is a bad idea here, just because of the injuries that he's had and guys like that. I don't know what he's like in the locker room. I can only kind of infer from what I hear, but getting rid of him may be a good change for this team, because I know what they're trying to do right now is almost revamp that team. They have some good young pieces, and I don't think they want them to get ruined by a lot of this talk that's going on. Now, that being said, Yannick Ngakoue, the big defensive end, who's almost had 30 sacks in his past 3 years, has come out and tweeted yesterday, as it seems every other day another player does for the Jags right now, basically told Tony Khan, which is the owner's son, Shad Khan, come out of hiding. Let's get this trade done. Ngakoue's mentioned that he wants to be traded many times. And Tony Khan, of course, comes back out and says, well, look, show me the compensation and we'll get the trade done. And that's basically to say, I've got to get a trade that's worth you, because I'm not just going to give you away. And he comes out and says that. He knows what he's worth, and he's not getting that right now. The agent supposedly is saying that the Cons are ignoring their calls. There's a lot of drama going on here. Coach, this is another situation for the Jags. It's just we've seen them let go plenty of people here. This is a mess, to say the least. And when you look at this, a player that comes out and says, quit hiding, trade me, well, as a coach and as an organization, what do you say to that guy?
This is what happens when you let them just leave. Anybody that wants to leave, they can leave. Then others are going to come to the same conclusion, and they're going to want the same thing. And if you don't do it, then you've got problems, and they've got a multitude of problems over there. I tell you, they've really let cancer infiltrate their locker room, and I have to blame coaches and administration in place and Tom Coughlin has to take some responsibility. The coach over there certainly has to take quite a bit of responsibility here. Something's going on that's not right, but you can't have people in the locker room telling the owner to show your face, don't hide, let's get the deal done. It's crazy. This whole thing is crazy. You wouldn't have a football team. Think about this. What if every player in the National Football League decided there was one team that they wanted to go to, or let's say two teams, where they could get all their buddies together. They get their buddies around, former Alabama or LSU or Notre Dame or whoever it is players, and they get their buddies together and they say, all right, we're all going to end up in wherever, City X, City Z. And they all demand a trade. They all demand to go somewhere else. You got no football teams left. Just people you could pick up on a practice squad or something like that. There's no way you can let this continue to happen. And I just think they're going to have to come down with some people with some guts and come down with some rules and regulations on players leaving football teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think for some teams it's gotten out of hand. You look at the Jags, and Coach, it's like we said, yesterday it was Leonard Fournette, now it's Ngakoue coming out. There's a lot of problems. Look, we know, of course, Shad Khan owns Wembley Stadium over there in London, so the rumors of him going over there, taking the team with him. Nobody has a clue right now. I have friends that are Jags fans that go, what are we doing? What direction are we going in? That's what they want to know. They understand drama's a part of it right now, but everything has gotten so overblown and out of hand that Jags fans are starting to go, what hope do we have right now? And that's not a good look for a franchise that already struggles to get fans in the stands. And, it is just not a good look right now for Jacksonville. But, Coach,
no doubt about it, yeah.
Coach, one thing I think is interesting here, before we go to break, it's Roger Goodell. We all know that a part of draft day is, Roger Goodell getting booed. And the fans, no matter where he goes, he always seems to get booed. And, you may agree if you're a Patriot fan. I know Chad does not approve of him as well, thinks he should stay in his basement. But nonetheless, I think it's interesting. This is a fun way that Roger Goodell has kind of embraced the booing now. We all know, of course, home's a great place to enjoy a beverage, with the draft, and nobody's going to be in attendance. It's all going to be virtual. We're going to be sitting around. Well, he's partnered with Bud Light, and they're asking NFL fans to record their boos. Take a video of your boo, post and tag it at Bud Light on Twitter, and hashtag Boo the Commish. And if you send it in, they'll basically push those boos into the draft room with Goodell there. It's a way he can get booed while he's announcing picks, which I think is funny. And Bud Light will donate $1 to the NFL Draft-a-thon up to $500,000. Now, we know that Goodell said he's going to raise money for charity, so this is a great way to, you still get to boo the commish. You can have a Bud Light if you want, or regardless, it's a way just to raise money. And I think Coach Goodell, whether you like him or you don't, this is a fun way to try to enhance the draft experience.
Yeah, interesting little touch of humility. So I support that. I really do. There are a number of things that Roger has done over the years that I don't support, but I support this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be fun, and this is going to be interesting. They've done some test runs on the virtual draft. They had some problems to start off with, apparently, that delayed the Cincinnati Bengals 2.5 minutes. to make their pick. It was bandwidth problems, and I can't imagine Cincinnati would take too much time. But nonetheless, everything seems to be going smooth. Their second test went well. So you know what? The draft is Thursday, Coach. And speaking of the draft, when we come back from break right here, we're going to talk nothing but the draft with you. Got plenty of mock drafts going on. Everybody's submitting mock drafts. And look, all those sources, they're coming out now. People, along with the Washington Redskins, saying they're fielding possible trades for number 2 pick. We'll see. All that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
For your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Stats, I'm JP. Roger Bannister held the world record in the mile for exactly 46 days. In 2004, Barry Bonds was intentionally walked 120 times, which is more than 2.5 times the longtime record held by Willie McCovey. And the longest recorded point in tennis history took 29 minutes and featured the ball crossing the net 643 times in a 1984 women's match. Wow, I got tired just reading that. And for your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Stats, I'm JP.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. Now, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Coach, I want to get into something I know, I'll refer to you on a lot of this stuff. When we talk about the draft, now, we all know with the Detroit Lions what's going on there. They've obviously come out and said that they're fielding calls about that number 3 pick. Now, well, the Redskins saying they have begun to receive calls from teams interested in trading up to number 2. Now, they're not necessarily intent on moving out of that pick, but they are listening. I'm going to defer to you, Coach. Have you heard anything about Washington other than just the possibility of trading, or what do you think? Should they trade out of that pick? I mean, risk losing Chase Young?
No, listen, this is not unexpected at all. Anybody in those situations, they're going to listen to other teams, what they could get, and what their approach is listen to every offer, because you may get the opportunity to build your football team, especially a team like Washington that needs so much. But you may get an unusual opportunity in a very deep draft. We've talked about this being a good draft with a lot of quality people and being very deep. So what they would want to listen to, it would, let me first preface by saying that it would take a huge effort on the part of somebody to get that number 2 pick. But if they ended up with, let's say, and I don't know who would have the draft equity other than maybe Miami. I don't know. Jacksonville's sitting there with 12 picks. I don't know. But you're going to get Chase Young. I think that's going to happen. I think the first 2 picks are pretty much fait accompli. They're done. It'll be Joe Burrow and Chase Young, and that's what I hear and keep hearing. But I'm not surprised that Washington may want to, if somebody wants to give their whole draft to them, like Ditka did at New Orleans one time for the running back. If somebody wants to give them their whole draft to move up and take that pick, and I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anybody's got enough equity to do that, and I don't think Miami will, because they're in the quarterback hunt, and I've got some thoughts on that later. So this is par for the course.
Yeah, I agree on this, Coach. I think you listen, but for that 12 picks the Jags have is interesting, especially what they're going through now. If they get rid of Ngakoue, this could help them. I mean, there could possibly be a trade there. But regardless of all this, Coach, continuing on with the draft and in that quarterback position that you were just mentioning. This is interesting. Now, Saban came out, and Saban's been fairly quiet in all this, as he usually is. But remember, Saban was a former Dolphins coach. He had his cup of coffee there and moved on. This was a Dolphins team that passed on Drew Brees because he failed their physical. And then Drew Brees goes on to have the career that, he's had in New Orleans. And Saints fans are, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, he came out and said that, look, we failed Drew Brees on the physical. That's why he's not the Miami quarterback. He warned teams that think that Tua can't come back from his hip and ankle injuries will suffer the same regrets. He said, with this kid, the sky's the limit. I don't think of any of the question with Tua have to do with the ability to throw the ball and be effective. He goes on to talk about the injuries he believes are going to be fine. He said this is a guy that can overcome so much. He understands the injury risk, but when you look at Tua, he just has the utmost respect and understands that he is going to be a great player for a long time. Coach, now we hear a lot of this stuff. Of course, a GM went on to say that regardless of all that you're getting from these doctors, all the positive notes and everything, like any player, though, any player you can say that you can take a risk on them because they can go get hurt. There may be underlying things that you don't know about, but with Tua, you know what's there. You know the injuries that are there. And look, the arthritis that could possibly pop up in his hip that ruined Bo Jackson's career could also be something that pops up soon for Tua. Now, doctors are saying, that could possibly, they don't see it sooner, they see it later. Now, later could mean anything. It typically takes at least a year for it to pop up. But, Coach, when you look at this for Tua, I know that Justin Herbert's going up the draft list right now. Just knowing the risk you're taking here, for me, it's hard to take Tua. It is. There's an inkling there when you have that many injuries. If this was his first injury, I don't know. But, he's 4 surgeries. There's so many things going on. He had injury problems in high school. I understand that football is a contact sport like everybody else. But at the same time, this guy has gotten injured more often than not. And when he's healthy, we know that he is a phenomenal player. And if he didn't get hurt this year, he could possibly be the first pick taken in this draft, and nobody would truly scoff at it. But, Coach, those injuries, they mean so much. What say you on this stuff? What is your opinion, and what are you hearing about the whole quarterback situation?
Well, there's so much going on. This is going to be one of the most interesting portions of the draft is how the quarterback situation is handled. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum, really, about Tua. Is there any question that this is a risky pick? None. There's no question there. That's not up for debate. It is A1 risky pick. Okay. Now, he's an enigma to me because I think there's so many positives with his ability as a quarterback and his ability to throw the football. A good kid, he checks all the boxes, with the exception of the injury box. But if you got your whole football group together, including your ownership, or you have a guy like Belichick at New England. But if you got everybody together and said, listen, if this guy is available to us, we're going to have to take him because we're taking a heck of a chance. But if he is not injury prone, if he can play and play the way that he's exhibited in college, we're going to have something very, very special at a position that you can't just duplicate. You can't go pick them off the tree. Now, if that's the case, everybody agrees on it. And in most cases, it would have to be the coach, the general manager, the owner, the administration, everybody. If he does come in and he's injured and can't play, this is a risk that we're taking. We all agree on it, and they take it. Might be worth doing with this guy. It would not be worth doing with some other people, but it might be worth doing with Tua. Now, I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people, but I'm telling you, this would be something that people should take a look at. Now, he's falling. There's no doubt about it. He's falling down the draft boards right now. It's just like we talked about. People can't take a chance. They cannot draft him under the circumstances, have him show up, and he can't play. He's hurt all the time. He's limited in both his work during the week and in the ball game, playing in the ball game. You got a major problem. You have just got a major problem. And you've hurt your football team in many ways. So that's what they got to be looking at, and that's what they are looking at. That's why most teams right now, they've got somebody looking over their shoulder. Not going to be too forgiving, JP, if they draft him and he shows up and can't play. There will not be much forgiveness there.
Yeah, Coach, when you talk about this and Tua possibly falling, and look, it's no doubt that there's, the more it comes out, the more we hear, the worse it can be. But nonetheless, the big question is a team early, like the Miami Dolphins, going to take that risk? That's what, that's the beauty. Look, it's coming up Thursday. The draft is, I know. Something interesting, Coach, just snooping around, doing a little reading here. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, we mentioned them earlier. They're willing to possibly move their picks to get some more picks here. Now, a team that pops up in my mind, this is just, thinking the way I think, and sometimes it's terrible, but if a guy drops, whether it's a Justin Herbert, whether it's Tua, whoever that quarterback is, just because if he happens to drop here, maybe to 13, could the New England Patriots trade up right now? And I know that, we're not sure. We never know what they're going to do, but when you look at this, does it make sense to you at all? I'm just curious. This going through my mind for the Patriots to trade up to 13 if one of those two quarterbacks is available, if they do fall, because we know, like I said, we've already talked about the 49ers willing to trade back to get some more picks here. Coach, does that make any sense to you? Could you see the Patriots doing that just to go out and get their quarterback?
That's a good thought, JP. It really is, and yes, I have thought about it. And the Patriots might be one of the few teams I just mentioned. For example, I know what they place on each player that they take in the draft. They have a value number. It's all done numerically. And there's a value placed on each player going into the draft. Now, if that value becomes available, you have to have pretty big value attached to you if you're going to go in the first round, right? But if he slid from what was perceived to be, and maybe New England has certainly had him from a talent standpoint on somewhat of a par with Joe Burrow, and he now is down at 13 to whatever they can get to, and the value would probably be there. Another value pick for them would be a guy like Braum hits them perfectly. But if they could get him in the second round, I think that's another value pick. I think they want a quarterback. I think they do want to pick a quarterback in this draft. And they've got two there. They're going to definitely bring in a third quarterback, maybe even a fourth. The fourth guy would be just a camp guy off the street. But they want a young quarterback, and they'll draft one and bring him in there now, where that value is. But back to your question, I could see New England if they could get up to the 13th pick. Let's say that's a good example, and they get a chance to trade and take him. I could see that happening. I really could.
Yeah, just a thought. I personally don't think either one of those quarterbacks will fall that far. But if that does happen, and there again, like we said, that's the beauty in all this in the draft is we have no idea. And one team that will never show their hand is the New England Patriots. So it's interesting though. It's if the guy, if they have a chance at him. And look, another team that's interesting there that could possibly be a trade possibility is the Jags. If a guy falls, which 9, one of those quarterbacks falling to 9 would be more realistic to me than 13. But nonetheless, in all this, Coach, I think it's something that's the fun of all this. We see these mock drafts, and it makes your head, kind of spin a little bit because everybody has a different view. And I think, when you look at Mel Kiper, he's been fairly consistent with it, and I think that goes to what he's hearing. The only big news is swapping Justin Herbert and Tua. So, you know what? It's going to be fun, Coach, and I know we'll talk a little bit more about it later on. But when we come back from break, we're going to talk about the South Carolina Gamecocks. A lot going on, some regime change there. Muschamp is still in place, but it's a team that has struggled, and that's to say the very least. All that right to hear and more here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Welcome to Bo! Okay, hi, what are we doing today?
I need something that screams something fun. Nothing too on the face, nothing too off the face, but also totally hot.
So I have the perfect thing. It's the most food mullet. You're totally business in the front, but tailgate in the back. It's a fat party. People are having fun. Snap. All your friends are going to be like, whoa, awesome setup. Everyone else is going to be all jelly, okay?
Just like a killer mullet, Moe's Catering will turn the back of your ride into a tailgate party that's sure to turn some heads. Just order ahead and pick it up on your way.
Moe's Southwest Grill, now open in Pace on Highway 90 next to Publix grocery store. Jackson Pace Pharmacy has exciting news for ED patients. Viagra 100 milligram generic is finally here. Get it today. 30 tablets for $80, less than $3 a pill. You heard right. Viagra 100 milligram generic is less than $3 a tablet. A prescription from your doctor is required, so stop by Jackson Pace Pharmacy and cash in on the savings today. 2256 West 9 Mile Road in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport. This is Davis Allen from Sports Call with Davis and Justin, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Coach, I want to get into a team here as we continue through the SEC right now. The South Carolina Gamecocks. And this is an interesting team. Now, they finished 4-8 last year. There was a couple games, of course, turnovers were a tremendous problem for them. Offensively, averaging just over 22 points, which was 104th in the nation out of 130 FBS teams. Now, defense had always been a strong point and a strong case for South Carolina. That was always one of the teams, like we talked about Missouri the other day, that you didn't want to go play just because of that defense. Well, their defense gave up, a little over 26 points, which was about middle of the road, 53rd in the nation. Their strength of schedule, though, was 4th. So they had a tough schedule. Nonetheless, though, they were still close. Let's remember, this is a team, of course, that opened the season, lost to North Carolina by 4 points right there. Got blown out by Alabama, lost to a Missouri team they shouldn't have lost to, lost to Georgia in double overtime, 20-17 on the road, and was a very competitive game with Florida, which was a lot of turnovers for South Carolina, losing 27-38. Of course, losing to Tennessee. This is a team that never hit their stride. Now, I know they had quarterback problems. They had a lot of problems going on, but nonetheless, I want to talk about the 2020 schedule real quick before we break them down a little bit. They start the season off with 3 home games against Coastal Carolina, East Carolina, and the Missouri Tigers. Then they go on the road for a few games at Kentucky and then go to Ben Hill Griffin Stadium to take on the Florida Gators. Then they're back home for a few games against the Tennessee Volunteers and Texas A&M. Then they go to the road on the road, which is not necessarily a road game for them, at Vanderbilt in Nashville. Back home to host Georgia, which would be a pretty interesting matchup. Then they go on the road again to Baton Rouge, take on LSU. Then they're back home for Wofford, and then, they got to go to Death Valley to take on the Clemson Tigers. Coach, when you look at this team here, there's a couple notes that I want to make before I turn it over to you. This is a team that slipped. In 2018, they were 7th in the SEC in total offense. Now they dropped to, last year, to 11th in the SEC. It's not going to get it done, kind of where you understand the 4-8 record comes from. Turnovers. I said turnovers before. Jake Bentley had an injury, and all South Carolina fans know Jake Bentley was a good quarterback. But now Ryan Helinski stepped up, and he had an up-and-down campaign. I think he's going to do well. They didn't have explosive plays. That was something I think in the SEC you have to have is explosive plays. They didn't play field position very well. The red zone production was, next to nothing, and they could not finish late in the games. Couple bright spots, though, I will say. Mike Bobo coming over, I think will change the offensive outlook of this team. I think this is a guy that is a respected play caller. Didn't really get it done necessarily at Colorado State. I think he is in a good fit. This is a guy, remember, was a Georgia offensive coordinator for a while back when Todd Gurley was playing. You got Ryan Helinski there, the rising sophomore. I think he's going to do well. The running back position is still looking for a 1,000-yard rusher. Well, they got a freshman, and I know he's a freshman, but it's a good-looking 4-star right here, Marshawn Lloyd. This guy's the real deal. I mean, he had offers from Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, just to name a few. They placed 10th in rushing last year in the SEC. We know you have to run the football in the SEC. We know that passing, of course, is important. But the other side of this, when you look at that defensive line, they lost their defensive line in Javon Kinlaw, Aaron Sterling, Kobe Smith. But with Muschamp, he recruits that position fairly well. He always seems to do pretty well. I think a big important point for this season for them, Coach, is I don't necessarily see them upsetting Georgia or Clemson. It could happen. I mean, they almost beat Georgia last year, but I think LSU, they need to win that LSU game. This is a team that needs to find a way to have a winning record this year. Muschamp's been on the bubble a few years, and they've given him some time. Now, I think him bringing in a guy like Mike Bobo is important, but, Coach, this is a South Carolina team that's going to be against the grain, but, they've got a young team. They're going to have to make some changes, but maybe it's a step for the better in this, or I'm not a big buyer in Muschamp and all this. What say you about South Carolina Gamecocks, Coach?
Well, they're tough to figure out. I agree. I think they've got a good running back. All right, and that's one thing that Muschamp has to have. I can understand how they have trouble with their offense and being rated so low in the SEC and the nation offensively. It's tough to have a good offense when you have a head coach like Muschamp. He's throwback to the defensive coaches that think nothing but defense and how are we going to be better defensively, and the way you make us better offensively, make us better defensively with your offense is offensive coach, whoever you are, make sure that we run the ball enough, make sure we don't turn it over, and make sure we punt and cover punts well, and that type thing. Don't throw the football unless you absolutely have to. Too many bad things can happen. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's the philosophy of a lot of defensive coaches, and it makes it awfully difficult for an offensive coordinator or an offensive staff to put together a true productive offense in this day and time, where you have to be more productive with the passing game than ever before. And it's just hard to do when you've got a coach breathing down your neck all the time if anything bad happens with a pass. And the coaches tend to protect themselves. They don't do it. So I don't know. I look at South Carolina, and of their schedule there, I think they certainly have at least 5 very winnable games. And if they can win those 5 that they should win and pull out another 1 or 2, I think that's going to be about it for them. I mean, they're a 6 or 7 game win team. I think they're going to have to beat. They're going to have to beat a couple of pretty good teams to get to 7 wins, and that's going to be difficult for them to do.
Yeah, I agree. I see at best right now, and I hate to say that, 7 wins, and it's going to be tough to get those 7 because you're going to have to upset somebody. Look, when you talk about it, Kentucky's a team where we're not sure what Kentucky's going to be. I think Kentucky's a lot like a South Carolina. It's a team that's built similar. We know that Florida's going to be good. Tennessee, we're expecting Tennessee to be better. Now, I know, of course, they start their season, like I said, with Coastal Carolina and East Carolina, but, don't discredit East Carolina. This is a team that's upset people before. I know it's a little bit different now, but nonetheless, when you look at this, Coach, Texas A&M, we know they're going to be good. Vanderbilt is a team, of course, I think that you can win that. You should win that. Georgia's going to be tough. LSU, if any team I could see out of those teams that maybe you had a possibility of beating and upsetting, LSU, and the only reason I say that now is because we're not sure what LSU is. And then LSU's going through a lot of changes. They lost 16 guys. Now, I know they've revamped a lot, but how is that going to turn out? Could it be a year before they get back, or how are they going to get back? I don't think that any team will have a season like LSU did this year with just the dominance, but
no.
This is South Carolina. It's tough because
here's the deal. If South Carolina gets upset themselves by one of those teams they should beat, it's Katie barred the door. It's over. I mean, I think they'll clear the house up there immediately if that happens. The only chance they've got is to win, maybe push it and stretch it, get a couple of upsets, beat the people they should beat, and get 7 wins and go to a bowl game. They might get another year, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, I think it's you have to look. Ray Tanner, the athletic director there, the former baseball coach, I respect the heck out of him, but you've given him plenty of time. I think the only way he stays is if he shows true progression. And what I mean with that is bringing Mike Bobo over, the offense has to get better. And I understand the loss on defense, but I think it doesn't matter at this point. You can have excuses for everything. Every coach goes through it. I think it's also tough to remember, recruiting it with Clemson right around the corner. The Clemson's come in and stolen a lot of their recruits, and you know what though? That's just a credit to what Dabo and those guys have done. Muschamp, every coach fights against it. Like I said, they're all on an even playing field on this. So when I look at South Carolina, Coach, I agree with you. I think 7 wins is probably it. So moving on, I know we got to go to a break here. When we come back, Coach, we're going to talk a little bit more about the draft, some noise we're hearing, and some other things going on in college football. All that and more right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
From First Take to your radio.
Zion, 16 games. Okay, how many games do they have left? About 20, 22 games. All right, so he ain't gonna even reach 40 games. Damn it, I mean, this first year in the NBA, which he's getting paid for, it's like a college season to do. Give a damn about no back-to-back. You're 19 years old. 19 years old. All right, figure it out.
1 to 2 weekday afternoons on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
Coming up on Sports Call this Saturday, we talk about the NFL Draft. What am I watching on Netflix this week? And who's the greatest Pensacola athlete of all time? We'll talk about that this Saturday on Sports Call with Davis and Justin on ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
the teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. We're talking some football with you. Final segment of the show right here Coach, we talk about going back to the draft a little bit. Now, this is interesting. This popped up as one of the hot-button topics, as usual. Dak Prescott. Now, we've talked about him plenty. Now, of course, the NFL, they ran the numbers again. Dak Prescott's vaulted into the top 10 if he signs his franchise tag. Now, remember, they put the exclusive one, which also gives him an ability to give him some time to sign a deal. We know that we've heard that Dak wants a long-term deal, then all of a sudden he wants a 4-year deal. Cowboys want a 5-year deal. The numbers don't match up. He wants more money. All this, I think everybody knows it by now. Well, before the franchise tag was going to be a little over $26 million. Now it's going to be about $31.5 million, which would make him the 7th highest paid quarterback. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, that'll make Dak sign the franchise tag, but then a lot of other people are coming out and saying, no, he's not going to risk playing 1 year. He wants a deal. Now, Coach, what brings up in this conversation is you look at the Cowboys picking 17th right there. Should they go after a quarterback in this draft? And the reason I say that is he doesn't have to – they're probably not going to get a deal done before Thursday, I think, obviously. You never know what's going to happen. As a team like the Cowboys, I think you could almost handcuff yourself, in my opinion, if you don't take a quarterback here just hoping, depending on what they're hearing from Dak Prescott. Now, I'm not on the inside. You got way more sources and you hear more than I do, Coach. But I think personally you should take a quarterback here just to be safe. And if you want, if you can get the right quarterback, if maybe it's a Jordan Love or a Jake Fromm, whatever you want, you could possibly move on and it doesn't put you in a bind here.
Well, if they did the right thing by their football team, if I were making that pick, they made their bed with Zach Prescott at this point. Now, either one of two things. Either don't pick another quarterback just to bring another quarterback in to be competitive with Zach Prescott. That is a waste of a pick. That you could improve your football team by quite a bit more if you got one of these talented players, especially with where they're picking there. They've got a mid-round pick. They should get a good one. Now, there's one caveat to this. I don't believe that Jerry Jones or anybody out there, and I've said this before, I don't believe they're totally committed that Zach Prescott is their quarterback of the future. Okay? That being the case, let's say that Tua fell to them. Tua starts falling. Here's a team that could take a Tua, and Jerry Jones is not going to fire Jerry Jones or his son. So they could take a Tua and take that chance. And if they hit on it, they've got a heck of a quarterback. You say, well, what about Zach Prescott? Well, just play the game yourself. What if? Play the what if game. What if you were the head coach and general manager of an NFL team right now? Just today, bang, all of a sudden, here you are. And they say, JP, we got a good surrounding cast here now, good defense, good offensive line, some talented people around him. Pick your quarterback, anybody you want. Pick him, and we'll bring him in here, and that's going to be your quarterback, okay? Now, start thinking about the quarterbacks in the National Football League. The Bradys, the Brees, the Rodgers, San Francisco, at there's Kansas City. Just think about all those quarterbacks. Where would you say, all right, I want to bring Zach Prescott in to be my quarterback? Of all the quarterbacks in the league, I want to bring him in, and he's the guy we're going with. Yeah, he'd be way down the list.
Yeah,
he would. Okay. Well, you have to think about things like that because some people think when they think about Zach Prescott, they want to put the golden bubble around him and think that he's on the same par with these other people, but that's not the case. It is not the case. He's a good kid. I mean, I have nothing against him, but he's not a first-rate upper echelon quarterback in the National Football League. And I think Jerry Jones knows that. And therefore, all the indecision. There's a lot of indecision has been since day one, talking about Zach Prescott, certainly this year. The attempt to re-sign him and all that. But, yeah, it could happen. I think if somebody slipped that far and they felt like, all right, here's the deal that's going to be our quarterback, bang, let's make the deal. And then if they do that, then they need to get rid of Prescott.
Yeah, I think on that situation, Coach, for Prescott, I think what he's done is phenomenal. It's great. A lot of people saying, well, they owe him because he came in and saved the day when Tony Romo went down. This is a business. He doesn't owe, they don't owe him anything. He's getting paid.
But what day did he save? I hate to interrupt you here, but what day did he save?
I'm with you, Coach.
He hasn't. They haven't been anywhere. Nor does it look like they're going to go anywhere. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we're hearing, and it's interesting to say the least. People they want to come to his side. I get it, but you know what? If you're Dallas, you can't sell everything here to get him. I just don't. I agree with you. I think they're on different pages right now. I don't know if the deal's going to get done, but nonetheless, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. We didn't get to everything we wanted to as usual, but nonetheless, it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. We'll see you tomorrow. Look forward to it.
Absolutely, Coach. And we appreciate everybody joining us, our listeners as well, tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you on Talk Football with Coach K right here on ESPN Pensacola.
From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take Your Take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN